Alright, you guys, time for a new section here. Still working with radicals. We just finished up graphing radical functions or square root functions, and now we're going to simplify radical equations. Kind of a fun one here in terms of the problems we do, taking a puzzle and simplifying it down as much as we can. It's one of those problems that kind of ends up being like a little puzzle. You're trying to get to the solution of the puzzle every time. So if you like puzzles, it's probably a section that you might kind of like. Sometimes a little tough, sometimes a little easy. Just depends on the problem. But we're going to simplify some radical expressions. Okay. Taking a look down here now for this first day of radical expressions, I'm going to show you a couple of the rules for what it takes to have a radical in its simplest form as it has here highlighted. Okay. We're going to talk about the first two here in this lesson. Whenever you have a fraction, or sorry, a radical in its simplest form, you'll see that there's no perfect square factors other than one under the radical. And we'll also talk about today that no fractions are under a radical. Okay. Again, the reason why we have to do some of these things is it's almost kind of like, I liken this to like writing an answer from a fraction, like 2/4, right? 2/4, you can write, it means the same thing as 1/2, but we always try to get something down to its simplest form, its easiest form to work with, okay? Well, square roots, we actually have done some of these things this year already. You've seen it maybe back in chapter 10. We talked about it briefly. Today we'll talk about it some more. There's a way to simplify certain square roots, so we're going to do that on the next slide. Okay, so on that next slide, there's a bunch of different examples I'm going to go through, and really that's most of the rest of this lesson is. It's just me kind of guiding you through some examples of what it looks like when you're simplifying radicals. We end up using this property up here, the product property of radicals, which again we've talked about a little bit too. Surprisingly, radicals are more versatile than you realize. Okay, when you have the square root of numbers that are multiplied together, you can actually break apart that into its factors, into the numbers that are multiplied together. As long as it says here they're greater than or equal to 0. So take a look over here. If you have square root of 4x, which really those things are multiplied together, right? The number and the variable, you can break it apart into the square root of 4 times the square root of x. And why that's helpful is you can actually square root 4 and just get 2, and then you'll have 2 square root of x. And that's a simpler form for that square root because now we don't have a perfect square under the radical as it shows there, okay? So let me show you what it looks like with some numbers and some variables here. Okay, the way I like to show this with a problem like this, square root of 24, is what we can do. Square root of 24 equals some number that's like a little less than 5, right? This is close to 25, so really it'd be like 4.9 something something something, some irrational, okay? But crazy enough, I can break this apart too, and I can say the square root of 24, I'm going to pick out a particular set of factors. There's a lot of factors of 24, but I'm going to pick out 4 and 6. Okay, if I take the square root of 4 times 6, I'll actually get that same 4.9 ... Like that is mathematically okay. You can do that. You can break something apart into its factors. Okay, a square root into its factors as long as they're under the square root. But then as you can see, square root of 4 now ends up being 2. So now I can write this as 2 times the square root of 6. And guess what? Okay, that if I punch that in the calculator, I take the square root of 6 and multiply it by 2, I'll still get that same 4.9, blah, 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 that irrational number. So again, something I can totally do, just like with fractions, how 1/2 equals 2/4 equals 3/6. Well, same thing here, but we want to put it in its simplest form. So square root of 24, you wouldn't leave it like that. You would write it as 2 square root of 6. And that is the answer. That's us leaving it in its simplest radical form. Okay? Going to another one here, square root of 48. Now, I picked out some nice square roots on this first one here, square root of 4 and square root of 6. Okay? As you look at square root of 48, you might think, okay, well, I could break it down to the square root of 4 and times the square root of 12. And that would be totally fine to do. Square root of 4 is 2. So I can break that down and then say this is really 2 square root of 12. But now the trouble is that square root of 12 actually still can be simplified. It has perfect square factors inside of there. So just like other problems we've done, that's fine. We can just kind of keep breaking this down and say that the square root of 12 now is the square root of 4 times the square root of 3. And square root of 4 is 2. And again, all these things are multiplied together. So now that I've taken that, it's like I have to take this 2 times this 2 and get 4 square root of 3. Now, that is the same as the square root of 48. Again, if you punch them in the calculator, you get the same exact thing. Some of you may even have said, I'm just going to bring it off to the side here, well, could I have broken it down to the square root of 16 times the square root of 3 right away? Yes, you totally could have. And that would also been 4 square root of 3. So just realize there's more than one way. Yeah, as often as the problem with math problems, there's more than one way to the answer. And if you see the biggest, try to pick out the biggest perfect square that number can be broken down into. But even if you don't, it's okay. All right. Square root of 27. Again, right now may be a good time to pause the video and you try it yourself. Otherwise, I'm going to put the answer up here right now. But you give it a shot and see if you can figure it out before I do. Okay, for that one, as you can see, I broke 27 down into square root of 9 and square root of 3. And then square root of 9 is 3, so I got 3 square root of 3. Okay, moving along to now some of the problems below that with a variable involved, okay? Still the same idea, right? 16 times x just means that's multiplied together. So I can break this apart into the square root of 16 times the square root of x. And again, nice enough, square root of 16 is 4. So now I can write this as 4 square root of x as my final answer, okay? Now, same thing can happen with variables. Variables you can take the square root of as well, okay? And they can be brought outside the radical. Take a look at this one. This one would break down, if I break it down to the number times the variable, okay? I'd have 7 and then x squared, okay? Well, think about it. What times itself will give you x squared? That's what a square root says, right? Well, x times x gives you x squared. So the square root of x squared is x, okay? So this one actually breaks down into x is what comes outside the square root times the square root of 7. While I'm talking about that, let me just kind of bring up here. So what happens if I have other square roots? How about square root of, square root squared, or x squared, but square root of x to the 4th. What times itself would give you x to the 4th? Thinking back to the things we've learned from chapter 8, x squared times x squared, you add the exponents and you get x to the 4th. So x to the 4th, the square root of that is x squared. Okay, maybe you'll start to see a pattern here if I do one more. What if I do something like x to the 10th? Maybe you can jot it down before I do, but it would be x to the 5th, okay? Because x to the 5th times x to the 5th, you add the exponents, you get x to the 10th. So you can kind of see what happens with square roots. It's almost like if you have a power that you're talking about in a variable, you divide it by 2, and that's what the square root of it is. Now you may ask what happens when we have an odd power. I'll get to that very soon in some of the examples here. So, but let me keep going with this one. So kind of like we just did there, x to the 4th, well, square root of x to the 4th is just x squared. Going on to our next slide here and talking about that same thing we just were. So m to the 8th, n to the 14th. Again, some people, especially when you're first doing these, if you want to break them apart every time and write like the different variables separate, you can. I'm okay if you don't do that. But sometimes it helps to see, okay? And you're going to find out that sometimes we're going to want to break numbers and variables apart, and sometimes we're going to want to put them together with variables. The best thing I can tell you guys is the only reason you guys, a lot of you are smarter than me than I was in 8th grade, okay? But these just take practice. Sometimes it just takes seeing like the combinations, and the more practice you do with them, just like a lot of things, the better you will get. More experience is really the best teacher. You'll be able to tell when I should break them apart and when I shouldn't, okay? And I've been showing you, though, that you can break these apart whenever you want. M to the 8th, square root of m to the 8th would be m to the 4th. And square root of n to the 14th would be n to the 7th. So m to the 4th and n to the 7th for that one, okay? I got some big numbers here, but don't be fooled, right? So again, same idea here. If I have to take half of all of them is what happens when you square root them. It'd be a to the 25th, b to the 49th, and c to the 101, okay, for that one. Now, finally, okay, what happens if I have x to the 3rd power, okay? The way we deal with any odd powers, I'm going to break it down just like I did with numbers. What you do, you guys, is we can square root an even power, okay? So what you do is you break this apart into, like, square root of x, and then you break off just one of them, okay? If it's an odd number, if it's 3, we'd break it into 2 and 1, okay? If it's x to the 7th, you break it into 6 and 1. You break one of them off, as you can see that I've done here, okay? Because now this 1 can stand by itself, okay? And I can't do anything more with that. I can't take the square root of it. But the even power, I can square root. X squared, square rooted, would be just x. So the final answer in this one is just x square root of x. Okay, right now, just off the top of my head, I made up 3 problems. You should pause the video and try them. I'm going to walk through them right now if you need a little more help. But you should try these three now where I have a variable like x with an odd power, and see if you can repeat kind of what I did on that previous one. If you still need help, maybe let me do this first one for you and see what you think. X to the fifth. So like we talked about, that's an odd power. So I can't square root that as nicely, but all you have to do is break one of the x's off. Okay, so I'm going to put that one off to the right. And so it'd be x to the fourth times just that one lone x. But now that I've done that, okay, this makes it an even power over here, which is what I want. And x to the fourth, square root of that is x squared. So this answer, this one is x squared times the square root of x. Okay. Look at these next two here. Again, I can break it apart or just deal with the numbers separately, right? Square root of 16 is going to be 4, so I already know that's going to be 4. And I'm going to look at this x to the 7th, okay? So bringing this down, I know that's going to be 4 times, and then again, the x to the 7th, I'm going to break that apart. I'm going to bring one of them off, because then I won't have an odd number anymore. I'll have just x to the 6th over here, times just that one lone x, okay? Because these two together would be x to the 7th. If I break one off, now I got x to the 6th. I've got an even number, and that I can square root. That becomes x to the 3rd. Sorry, it's getting a little messy in there, but hopefully you're listening more to what I'm saying here. This will be x to the 3rd times the square root of x. So 4x to the 3rd times the square root of x. Okay, one more just like that. So 100, square root of 100 is, as we know, 10, right? And then x to the 13th, how am I going to deal with that? Okay, just kind of bring it off to the side where I have a little more room. I'm going to make it x to the 12th, and then times one more x. So now I've made an even power, and that I can square root. That'll be x to the 6th. And then I have that lone x, because it was an odd power. I have one left over that I can't square it anymore. Okay, these will probably be some of the trickier ones today, but again, work through them, do the best you can. Day one is always the toughest day. Your brain's trying to make sense of it. If your brain is struggling today, good. That means it's learning. It's trying to make sense of this. And it just takes practice and work, and the more you do it, the better you will get. Otherwise, again, I can help you too. And then that last slide is something I think you've also seen in the past. It went back to that second rule as I said I was going to teach you today. If you have a fraction under a square root, they actually don't like that as well. That's not simplest form. But something nice you can do with square roots is whenever you have the square root of a fraction, you can actually just look at it as the square root of the top over the square root of the bottom. And if they're nice numbers, like perfect squares like this, well, then you can just say, oh, this is really just 14 over 7. The square root of 196 is 14, the square root of 49 is 7. And actually, that just reduces all the way down to just 2 in that case. Sometimes that'll happen, okay? Take a look at that next one. Square root of 16, we know. We can just break this apart into square root of 16 by itself on the top, and then the square root of x squared on the bottom. And both of these we can do. This would be 4 over x for my final answer. I can just square at the top and the bottom individually. Okay. Again, pause and try these last two if you want. Otherwise, I'm going to jump right to it here. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of x to the 4th is x squared. And m to the 6th would give me m to the 3rd. Okay, so if they're all nice ones that I can square it, that's always kind of nice. This last one here, though, looks like I got a little work to do. Okay, I'm going to start with the bottom because that's an easier part for us to do right now. Both these are even powers, so I can just say this is y to the 5th and z to the 3rd. Nice enough. On the top there, I'm going to have to take that. Let me keep dealing with the variables. That x to the 3rd, I'm going to have to make that x squared and then x, each under their own square root. Because again, I can square root that first one, right? I can take this one and say this is x, but the x square root I won't be able to deal with because it was an odd power. And then 242 looks like a big mess, but that actually breaks apart into the square root of 121 times 2. So that one looks like a bigger mess than it is, but again, try to look for factors that you can even divide out a 2 sometimes, or a 4, whatever you can. And it's not nice enough, square root of 121 is 11. So on the top there, I'll have the 11 that I got out of the square root now, and that x that I got out of the square root. And then back inside the square root, I'll still have 2 and another x. And there's my final kind of crazy, messy answer. Okay, but not too bad. Again, if you get through one like that on the first day, you're doing great. If you can't, that's probably about normal. Do the best you can on today's. And if you need some help, let me know, you guys. Okay, good luck.